Come along on my creative journey in designing and fashioning a new Florentine Renaissance gown known as a gamurra. Accompany me through all of the sometimes frustrating stages, from conception and patterning through to construction and finishing. There will be plenty of lessons learned and cheeky commentary along the way. Okay, well, now we are at the point where I'm going to box pleat this skirt onto the bottom edge of the bodice. So here we go. So basically for box pleating or any pleating, what I do is I fold the skirt in half, mark the halfway points, fold the bodice in half, mark those two halfway points, and then line up those two halfway points with each other and pin. Then repeat that process again and again and again until you get all the way down. It's all pleated in place, and then you just smush the pleat flat against the bodice, pin it like this, and then whip stitch it in place. So that's how I do box pleating. If you have a different method, do let me know in the comments below. Okay, let's go. In an earlier chapter of this vlog, we discuss the topic of sumptuary laws, in fact, several times. I mentioned that sumptuary laws seem to have not applied all the time in Florence. In fact, one of the primary times was during festivals. During these Florentine festivals, each great family would put together a brigade, that being a company of family members and clients and other people who were part of their greater household sphere. The brigades would then perform in jousting and other forms of spectacle combat and dance, and sometimes they would even host balls. This was a chance for a household to truly demonstrate its onore. During one particularly memorable feast of St. John in Florence, the Medici Brigade was recorded as having dressed so luxuriously and in so many layers that they literally peeled each layer off as the day went on and gave them out as a sign of their wealth and power. And of course, these garments were so luxurious that they absolutely violated every sumptuary law in the books. In fact, I'm not really certain there's any way to better demonstrate that the law doesn't apply to you than by literally helping other people break the law as well. Audiences would rate the contestants based on the luxury and quantity of the garments they were wearing. The Diary of Florentine wine merchant Del Corazza provides the details of one such brigade. He writes, "And all 14 youths of the brigade dressed in the same livery, that is, in cloth of the color of peach blossom, which reached down to just below the knee, with puffed up sleeves, the left sleeve embroidered with pearls, that is, an arm that came out of a little cloud, and threw flowers down the left arm. The shoes were of the same cloth, except that the left half was red, and a branch of flowers of pearl was woven into it." Once I have finished pinning all of the pleats into place, thereby turning this bodice into basically a torture device, we move on to whip stitching the skirts on. Now, there's a couple of tips here, dear fellow sewist and or viewer. First off, we definitely want double strength thread, and we definitely want it waxed. We want to make sure that we anchor the opening stitch really thoroughly and solidly. Here you see me fumbling with that so gracelessly. And then what's really important is that as we proceed along, that you ensure that you get all the layers of the skirt, of the bodice, of the lining, of the interlining, of the shell, of the turned over edges, but not too much. So it's this really fine balance whereby you want to get just enough to anchor it and to make everything strong, but not so much that you end up with some kind of weird bulky seam here. A real Goldilocks situation, and this is basically what you want at the end of the day. Also, because we are whip stitching, you want to make sure that you put knots in as you whip stitch along. I usually put a knot in probably every 10 whip stitches. That way, if the thread breaks at any point, it can only unwhip so far. Now, the interior waist seam of Osanna's gown is covered with a strip of the lining fabric. I don't do that here because I've got a slightly different skirt attachment method. We've got box pleats instead of sort of minor pin gathers, but that's a choice I may come to regret. Consider that foreshadowing, dear viewer. If you are enjoying this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe and the notification bell if you want to know when I launch new things. And if you want to do more to support my work, then consider the super thanks button on YouTube, or maybe becoming a patron on Patreon, which comes with a whole host of perks and extras like access to premium tutorials, multiple hour ones in fact, and discounts on classes. And now, back to your regularly scheduled Contessa. And for reasons known only to God and my 9-month younger self, I now attach the sleeves. Now, dear viewer, if you're making this dress, I hope you watch this whole series before you start making yours, because really you should attach the sleeves before you attach the skirts. Then you have much less dress to manipulate without having the skirts attached. It just becomes easier to attach the sleeves. But for whatever reason, I didn't do that. So we're doing it now. Again, we're whip stitching on, and I want to make certain, just like with the skirts, that I get through all of the layers. I get through the shell, the lining, the interlining, the edging, etc. Anyway, here we are, whip stitching the sleeves on. Note that part of the fitting process here was to pin the sleeves on and try on the bodice after lacing it up. Now here's the thing, my dear fellow sewist or costumer. The sleeves should be sewn, basically sort of only a fifth of the total arm's eye if you actually want mobility here. And I lead a very active lifestyle, so I need that mobility. What that means is that basically I'm only whip stitching these on from the center top of the shoulder, basically the seam, the shoulder seam of the bodice, to about a fifth of the way down the arm's eye, ending no further than sort of the center back. If you go much further than that, you're not going to have very much ability to actually lift your arm in an effective manner. And if you look at the portraits of this era, you can see that there's a considerable amount of chemise puffing through the front there on this style of sleeve. Note that while you do want your whip stitches to be small and neat and relatively tight, don't make them stronger than the fabric, because again, this is a high traffic area of your dress. You're going to be lifting your arms a lot, especially if you move at all, and especially if you dance. So what that means is that you're going to want your stitches to rip, if anything rips, rather than the fabric itself. Because putting a seam back together is no problem, but reincorporating fabric that has been ripped asunder, that's a whole new level of fabric cosmetic surgery that is not easy to effect in an effective manner. So in general, remember, you want your seams to be weaker than the fabric. And here is what it looks like when it's all said and done. As you can see, the whip stitches are not visible from the outside. Hi, kitty. Are not visible from the outside, nor are they visible on the inside. Another tip I forgot to mention while I was stitching is that you want to actually pin it so that it's right side to right side, so that you whip stitch this way and then open it up, and that will allow the whip stitches to really not show on the outside, to be completely hidden, to be completely subsumed. Although this sort of wool, this kind of wool, because of its thickness, actually just kind of swallows the stitches anyway, so. But especially if you're working with something, a thinner, finer fabric like linen or silk, then definitely when you're whip stitching two pieces together, put right side to right side, pin it, and then do the whip stitches on the inside or from the inside. And then when you open it up, they'll just vanish on the outside. And with that, the sleeves are attached, the skirts are attached, the bodice is attached. It's done. It's ready to try on. A year and a half later, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally ready to put this damn dress on and wear it for real at a medieval event called the Decameron. And as you see, it accessorizes beautifully with this gorgeous rust orange choppa, and also accessorizes really well as the sorceress Circe that I depicted in the quest at this event. It was the Odysseid for the theme, so of course, who else is going to be Circe but I? I should proudly note that I definitely did turn one of the questers into a pig because he accidentally touched my leg. It was so delightful. Overall, I'm extremely happy with how this dress feels and fits and moves, but this is just the first wearing. There will be multiple wearings to go between the time of this first getting dressed and the point at which I am now finally doing this vlog. So stay tuned, my dear viewers and fellow sewists, for the post-mortem, where I discuss all the things I did wrong, all the ways I'm going to improve next time, and how this dress has worn over these last, 10 months. What are some of your lessons learned from making historical garments? Please do share in the comments below, because honestly, it's through failures that we all learn the best. And I think I've been pretty good about, well, showing my dirty laundry, as it were. Until next time, everyone, stay creative and stay tuned for your moment of feline felicity.